Hello and welcome to Tabletop 24, and thank you for joining us for another Marvel Champions unboxing. This time we have Ironheart. Now, Ironheart is very different to any of the heroes that we've seen before, as they've got 3 different stages of their hero. So it's quite exciting to get into this. And also, Ironheart is the first hero to have a dual hero release with Nova. So we shall see what we've got in here. See, straight off, we have our artwork and our poster for Ironheart, and then we have any of sort of the new keywords that relate to Ironheart. So let's get straight into the pack. Okay, so we've got 3 copies of Ironheart. The first being Level Up with a 1-2-3 skill, and you remove 6 progress counters from Ironheart, ready her and swap with version 2. Ironheart version 2, remove 6 progress counters and ready her. Give her a tough status card and swap with version 3. And you'll notice there that there's a 2-2-3 attribute points. And then we have version 3, which has a 3-2-3. So the thwart's increasing and maximum efficiency, remove a progress counter to deal 2 damage to an enemy. So really looking to get those progress counters on Ironheart and increase her. So let's have a quick look at the back. Now, hand size of 6, hit points of 10, whereas hand 5 of 4, 5, and 6, hit points of 10 for the hero stages. Now, so Ronnie Williams, which is on, I believe, version 1. Begin the game with this card, set other identities aside, so obviously popping these 2 aside. Child Prodigy, spend a science resource, place 1 progress counter on Ronnie Williams once per round. Then we have version 2, Child Prodigy, spend a resource or 2 resources of any type to place a progress counter. Or version 3, spend 1 resource of any type to place a progress counter on Ronnie Williams. So really building that boost in that sort of idea of upgrading. And you'll see on the artwork that I think is quite cool is you've got the 3 different helmets that Ruby's working on, which I think is a nice little touch. Pop those up there. Okay, next we are into Ironheart specific cards. So we have a copy of Brawn, Amadeus Cho, a 2-3 with 3 health, and while Brawn is exhausted, he gains resource, generate a wild resource, limit once per phase. Apologies. So that's quite nice, but it's 4 costs, so I still think that's quite nice. Then we end up with 2 copies of Flyover, cost 2. As a thwart action, remove 3 threat from a scheme. Place 1 progress counter on Ironheart, 2 progress counters if this thwart removes the last threat from a scheme. So really boosting those progress counters. Next up, we have 3 copies of Photon Beam with a hero action for attack. Deal 4 damage to an enemy and place 1 progress counter on Ironheart. 2 if that defeats that enemy. So again, really pushing from those progress counters. Then we have 2 copies of New and Improve. As an action, choose X options, where X is equal to Ironheart's version number. Search your deck for an Ironheart card, add it to your hand, give Ironheart a tough status card, or ready Ironheart. So again, really focusing on this upgrading ability. We have Sector Scan, 1 copy. Reduce the cost to place Sector Scan by X, where X is equal to the version number. So it costs 3, so you could get it down to a cost 1. Until the end of the round, you may look at the top card of the encounter deck at any time. Quite useful. Then we have 2 copies of Stroke of Genius, which is a science resource. And response, after you spend this card, place 1 progress counter on your identity and draw a card. Really nice sort of efficiency there. It's really getting you through. Shame you've only obviously got 2 copies of that. Getting an extra 1 out would be really nice. Then we have a support in Ronnie Williams. Alter Ego action, exhaust Ronnie Williams, and choose to either heal 2 damage from Ronnie Williams or place 1 progress counter on Ronnie Williams. one copy of Tony Stark AI. Exhaust Tony Stark AI. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, add one to your hand and discard the other. That's really a callback there to Iron Man's ability to be able to go through some of his cards. So that's quite a nice thematic piece there. Then we have an upgrade of Photon Blasters. You get +2 hit points and exhaust it to deal damage to an enemy equal to Ironheart's version number. And finally, we have Propulsion Jets. You get +2 hit points and exhaust Propulsion Jets, remove the threat from a scheme equal to the number of Ironheart's version. So as you'll see, progress counters are key, boosting up Riri's abilities, and obviously Ironheart's abilities for when you get those upgrades out. They're not obviously worthless because they're giving you hero points, but the further on in your progress counters and versions, you're going to get a little bit more for it. So out of the box, Ironheart comes in with leadership. So we start off with Cloud9, a 1/1 3 health ally. Exhaust Cloud9, choose a player until the end of the player. Each aerial character that player controls gets +1 thwart. That's quite nice. Might be a nice support character. Really starting to see some of those come through. Then we have Falcon, but Joaquin Torres with a 1/2/3 for 4 cost. And after the Falcon attacks or thwarts, spend an energy resource, ready another champion character you control, which is quite nice. I'm assuming here that yes, Ironheart is champion, so that's quite nice there. And we have Patriot. After Patriot enters play, choose a champion character. That character gets +1 to each of its basic powers until the end of the round. Quite nice. That's 3 cost, 2, 1, 4. Okay. Now we have 3 copies of Go All Out. Requirement, one of the new keywords. While paying for this card, you must pay with a listed resource. Hero action, exhaust your hero, deal damage to an enemy equal to the total number of your hero's thwart, attack, and defense value. Really, really nice there with some of those boosted attack values, or thwart values, or even defense values. There we go. Then we have 3 copies of Push Ahead. Requirement of the science resource. Hero action, thwart, exhaust your hero, remove threat from a scheme equal to the total of your hero's thwart, attack, and defense values. So again, similar card, really nice Spider-Man Noir artwork there as well. There's 3 copies of Morale Boost, a 1 cost event. Choose a hero until the end of the round. That hero gains +1 thwart, +1 attack, +1 defense. That's quite nice. 3 copies of R&D Facility. As a requirement, 2 science resources. It has 3 research counters, and you exhaust it, remove a counter, and choose a friendly character in play. That character gets +1 thwart, +1 attack until the end of phase. Really focusing on those boosts. And to round out leadership, we have the Power of Leadership, which is obviously doubling the resources when paying for a leadership item. Okay. And then in the basic, we have a new version of Agent 13, Sharon Carter, for 2/1 with a 4 health. Response, either Agent 13 attacks or thwarts, choose a shield support, ready that support. That's quite nice. Then we have Snow Guard, 0/0, 3 health, champion, 4 cost. After Snow Guard enters play, place the 3 shift counters here. While the shift counters here are equal to X, she gets +3 attack and gain overkill, +3 thwart and aerial, and +5 hit points and gains retaliate 1. So it's nice there that you can choose what ones you are getting. So you can choose, obviously you get a bit more, the more X counters there, the better. Vivian, 2/1/2. Hero response, after Vivian enters play, choose an attachment, non-elite minion, or non-permanent side scheme. Until the end of the round, treat that card's printed text box as if it were blank, except for traits. Quite nice there, real pushing back on some of the attached stuff. Then we've got a copy of Go for Champions. Max 1 per deck, play only if you have a champion trait. Each champion character in play cannot take damage until the end of the round. So that's really nice there. All out, right, I'm going to go everything at the wall and see what we come out with. We have 1 copy of Helicarrier. Action, Choose a player, reduce the resource cost of the next card that player plays by 1. It's quite a nice and familiar card there. Then we have 3 copies of a 2-cost upgrade, Ingenuity. Play only if your identity has the Genius trait, max 1 per player. Resource, exhaust it to generate science resource. So that's quite nice there. Shame obviously you're only going to get 1 out at a time, but I think it's a bit of a different way of sort of like the combat training. Nice to see that it's coming in a basic form. Then we have Riri's Obligation. Remove 1 progress counter from your identity, then discard this card. If no progress counters was removed this way, deal yourself 1 face down encounter card, then shuffle this card back into the encounter deck. I think as sort of obligations go, I think that's fairly weak. I think that's fair to say. But obviously that could really be a bit of a game changer if he was expecting to turn and haven't been able to. Then we have Rule by Force. While Lucia von Bardus is in play, this card gains Hazard. While Lucia von Bardus is not in play, this card gains Acceleration. So either way, you're going to have to deal with that, which is quite a shame. Then we have Lucia von Bardus at 2/1/4. While Lucia von Bardus has a tough status card, she gets +1 scheme and +1 attack. And after the villain phase ends, give her a tough status card. So this is where you're going to get hit back rather than that obligation. A copy of Cyborg Tech. Attach the minion with the most traits. If you cannot, this card gains Surge. Attach minion gains +3 hit points and gains Retaliate 1. So if they're coming into play together, you're really going to suffer for that. And boost, deal this card to yourself as a face down encounter card. Okay, then we've got 2 copies of Political Retribution. When revealed, if Lucia von Bardus is in play, she schemes. If Rule by Force is in play, place 3 threat on it. And if neither is in play, this gains Surge. So you're punished whichever way you turn. But quite a nice Nemesis set there, I think, for Riri. Quite interesting. Obviously, we've got our deck list. And then we have our additional cards. So we have Bombshell for Aggression, 4/2/3. Play only if you have a champion trait. Divide damage from Bombshell's attack amongst each enemy as evenly as possible. So that's quite nice. Hitting for quite a bit of damage, but you've got to split it. Then we see Nadia Van Dyne, or Van Dyne. It's Wasp, 2/1/3. Play only if you have champion trait. Wasp ignores guard keyword and the crisis icon. So really imitating the Wasp character as well there. So that's quite nice. And then we have Pinpoint in Protection. It's 1/2/2. Play again only if you have champion. Here interrupt. When a player card would be placed into a discard pile from play, exhaust Pinpoint, shuffle that card into its owner's deck instead. It's quite interesting. Quite keen to see how that works with Doctor Strange's Invocation deck. Because that could be quite deadly with him. So we shall have to see that. Then we have the new encounter set, which is Zax. We have Feedback Loop. When revealed, each player must place threat here equal to the total number of energy resources in their hand or on cards they control. The minion, 2/2/4. Zax gets +X attack and +X hit points, where X is equal to the total number of energy resources on cards that are engaged player controls. So really punishing you for having your own energy. Boost, if you have at least 2 energy resources in your hand, put Zax into play, engage with you. Then we have 2 copies of Haywire. Attach your identity, treat the printed resource of each card in your hand as if it was energy. Choose to either discard a card you control with energy resource or take 2 indirect damage and discard this card. So that can be really punishing if that sort of scales up and gets you from each way possible. Air Static as an environment condition. Forced Interrupt. When the villain phase begins, deal 2 indirect damage to each player with an energy resource in their hand or on a card they control. Choose to either discard a card you control with a printed energy resource or take 2 indirect damage to discard this card. And we have 2 copies of Zap. Take indirect damage equal to the total number of energy resources in your hand. If your identity was dealt 1 or fewer damage this way, this card gains Surge. So I would count a set that is really going to be punishing those energy decks. I think, from memory, that would be Captain Marvel that's really going to get hurt there. So, thank you for joining us for this unboxing of the Ironheart Hero Pack for Marvel Champions. If you haven't done so already, check out our other videos on the channel, give us a like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.